Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Cam and Joe Show. My name is Joe Steele with my good friend, Cameron Elkins.
Morning, big dog.
How's it going, man?
Happy Friday.
I know, bro. We have had a hiatus for a couple weeks.
I know. It was nice. You know, they say absence makes the heart grow fonder.
We'll see.
Not that we tried to skip our podcast the last 3 Fridays, but a couple things went down. It was all good stuff.
With children graduating and stuff. It's kind of important.
There was some graduations. My son graduated from pre-K. That was awesome. We've been volunteering, my volunteer group, Spark and I, we've been at the food bank for the last 2 years doing third Thursdays.
Yeah.
But they asked us at the end of April to slide to fourth Friday.
That makes sense.
So we slid to fourth Friday.
Cool.
So that was it, and then back graduation.
Well,
we're back.
While you were gone, I was talking with people and making friends.
Without me?
Yeah, bro. But I have to introduce.
But it was a struggle, though, right? Because like your personality alone is a little.
Everyone's just like, "Hi, where's Cameron?"
Like, we don't talk without.
I don't have a complex. I have a problem. Yeah. So today I'm happy. So I again get to introduce you to my good friend Jared I'm just gonna ruin it.
That's
Albino.
Come on.
This here, my good friend Jared Albino. Jared Albino. Now, interesting thing. Jared actually was my employee when coffee shop. He wanted to learn coffee, and in the process, he got into camera stuff. And I was like, "Oh, I'll totally help you out. Let's do it."
Awesome.
And then acting, and then now directing a movie. Like he's got some ambition. So I figured it'd be
That's
cool
awesome,
to
man.
chat with him.
I appreciate it. Well, thank you guys so much for having me. Seriously.
You got it. Thanks for being here this morning.
Of course.
So do your thing, man. Tell us. Imagine he doesn't know who you are.
Yeah, because I don't. I met you like
Okay,
90 seconds ago,
right
before we started rolling. Yeah, I want to from anybody that passes Joe's vibe checker, I'm usually a fan of right away.
Perfect.
But yeah, just from the last couple minutes, just chatting with you, getting to know you a little bit more, loving what I'm hearing. But for our audience and viewers and friends that follow the show, let's hear what you're all about, man.
Okay, so perfect. Let's start it down. So it all started when I was born. So
it was a cold September night.
Right. So originally starting right, and I think this all kind of started for acting for me. So originally starting kind of back in high school was where everything kind of kicked off for me. Always had kind of a pursuit for it. When I was a kid, wanted to be an actor. I think it started off in like Peter Pan. I played Captain Hook.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so from there I was.
Bro, that's the best part you can get in Peter Pan.
I'm telling you, right? So
blast you, Peter Pan.
Right. And so from there, I kind of had like a love for it. And so high school, I went to a very small school. And so there wasn't really much of an opportunity for acting at all.
Yeah.
And, growing up out here, I always wanted to go to Marysville Charter because I was like, it's an acting school. And my parents were like, how about you play baseball? And I was like, okay. Yeah. So
very similar.
Yeah. And so
you look like a baseball player.
I wanted to. I played baseball growing up, but acting was something I wanted to do big time.
Did you pretend to play baseball?
No, I actually did try to play baseball for a while.
Well, I was saying it. You said you're an actor, so I was just curious how far it went.
Hey, you know what? I put that on my resume. So, first base player and catcher. But
nice.
So from there, in high school, I did a little bit of theater there. So, freshman to senior year, we did plays and we had crowds of like maybe 20 or 30 and absolutely fell in love with it. Cool. And then, from there, my grandpa's close friend became my acting mentor. Nice. So he's a guy, he had a lot of experience. His name was Richard Gross. He actually passed away a few years ago, but he actually helped guide me on the path of trying to get into Juilliard. That was the big goal. Yeah. That was awesome, something that I really wanted to do. And so in September of 2018, I enlisted into the Army National Guard. And so I was like, cool, I'm going to use this, my benefits. I'm going to go to college with it. Totally. I'm going to do that. And so enlisted, and then I shipped out to basic training summer of 2019, and then I was getting all my monologues and everything prepared. Yeah. And I graduated and came back February 27th of 2020. Now, I don't know if you guys remember what had happened.
No,
shortly after that.
There's a little
there's a little bit of things that happened afterwards, but safe to say that nothing much more happened with that. Yeah. And so from there it was kind of like, oh, well, I need to go and get a job. Yeah. So I was like, well, I had been to this coffee house before. I fell in love in high school with this little drink. It was called the Dr. Espresso. And I literally remember one day I went in and I got 4 of them, like in one day. And I was like,
were you the guy
That was me.
To the day, I have people going, you remember some guy I got 4 Dr. Espressos? I was like,
That was me.
In one sitting, they're like, yeah. I was like, that guy's got a strong heart.
That was me. That was me.
Or that guy's dead.
Yeah.
Hey, he didn't die.
Yeah, that was me. And I was
He's back.
obsessed with that drink. And I was like, I should just go and try to get a job here. And so next thing you know, I was working there. And so, from there, I got my headshots done with Joe, tried to do that. And then we actually did a short film together called Hey Dude. And it's funny. Every time he sees me, he's like, hey dude. I'm just like, okay, cool. I remember that. It's like a little flashback in my head from that.
So
awesome.
I have to, okay. Do you want to tell him the synopsis of Hey Dude?
I think it'd be better if you told him that.
So it was
I gotta hear it.
idea of what if this guy is trying to get work done and his roommate is being absolutely obnoxious.
Hey, dude.
And it's just like, hey, dude, that's just how he interacts. He's just like, I can't take this anymore. He goes into a door and comes out. And every time he comes out, it's a different dimension. So it's literally like multiverse idea.
Before it was cool.
I did. Well, it was. I did everything so ridiculous. At one point, I was a dog. At one point, I was
awesome.
Scottish. We did a Psycho reference, like just
Awesome.
Yeah.
soap opera.
Is this somewhere on YouTube? Can I find this?
I think you may be able to find
I think I have it on my phone.
He's got it on his phone.
Yeah.
We'll show it to
I
you
think
afterwards.
the link needs to be below this video.
Right.
Dude, I'm done.
I think it's on Facebook as well. It might be on Facebook as
If
well.
I can
Yeah.
find it, bro. I tried.
That's
I haven't
awesome.
been able to find like
That thing
where
is,
it went.
that's saved. I love that video. I
was
still
hilarious.
look back at it. It's so funny.
So hey,
Yeah.
you'll get to see it afterwards, and the rest of you, I'll see if I can get it uploaded and get it on the link for you.
The people demand the content.
It's hilarious.
Oh, it's so funny. But so from there, I tried to get into an agency and stuff like that. It never really kind of played out.
Sure.
And so, but I still love theater, and like that was something I never really knew how to get into. I just kind of didn't know anything from there. So I kind of pursued IT. And so in 2022, I moved to Kansas, and I wanted to pursue IT there. So I worked for Garmin, the watch company. So I worked at their headquarters for a while, and that actually is where I fell in love with photography. So picked up photography there. Actually worked for content creators there.
Nice.
Was a bodybuilder photographer and videographer out there. Moved back home, and then I kind of continued that. But actually, skipping back a little bit in 2021, I was actually in a movie filmed out here, Olivia's House. Mm-hmm. So Olivia's House was filmed out here. I'll never forget it because I think, if I remember correctly, I was like really tired one night, and I was laying down in bed, and I was with my ex at the time, and we were laying there, and I was like looking at my phone, and I just was like on my phone scrolling, and I woke up the next morning, and she was like, hey, you got a text from a producer? And I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, well, you have an audition. What are you talking about? She's like, for a movie called Olivia's House being filmed in Nicholas.
Did in no part of this conversation you ask, why were you going through my phone when I was asleep?
Right. No, right, exactly. No,
That's where you had me.
No, it was like that. My first thing was audition. That could wait, but and so I was like, okay, well, what do I need to do? So I rushed down to this audition, and so I ended up getting the role. And so I started off Dale the Wi-Fi guy. So I ended up getting this role in this movie, and so actually it's still in the process, and I can't really talk much about it, but super exciting.
That's
It's
awesome.
a lot of fun.
That's
I went and saw the
NDAs
premiere,
exist.
and it was such a good film. So I'm super excited about that. But going forward, I was able to do theater for the first time actually last year. Joe went and saw the performance.
Bro, that was one of the funniest shows I've seen in such a long time.
Yeah.
I laughed. I was grinning the entire. I wasn't by myself. It wasn't my doubt in you. Okay. Yeah. I've been to plenty theater shows where I'm like, okay, I don't want to bring anybody with me because if this bombs, I would rather own this. And I was like, no, I told Jared I'm going to go. I'm going to go.
Yeah.
Cool.
And so I snuck in, and bro, I laughed.
That's awesome.
Belly laughed. I was hurting.
That's
I was
awesome.
laughing so hard.
That's awesome.
And so that was my first theater performance in 6 years.
Nice.
I hadn't been, so it was out at Woodland, so the Woodland Opera House out there.
Yeah.
Beautiful location.
A beautiful location.
Yeah.
And I hadn't done a theater performance in 6 years. And so I just was like looking at my phone, and I had actually been on set for it was a Christian film being filmed out at, if it was American River College, called Confluence. Mm-hmm. So I was a nurse as an extra. And one of the guys there, he was like, yeah, I'm going to audition for this play in Woodland. I was like, oh, there's
What
a
play in Woodland?
theater there? cool. I live down the street. Like, I can go do that.
Heck yeah.
And he's like, yeah, no, it's called The Play That Goes Wrong. And it's like, there's auditions today and tomorrow. It's like, I'm not going to make it today. We're here.
Yeah.
And so, so I went down and I auditioned, and I'll never forget because I was sitting there and they had us audition for a death. And so the director, his name is Gilbert Sebastian, and he was like, oh, okay, so you guys are gonna go up, drink poison, and then you're gonna die. And I was like, okay, cool. And so I kind of sat back. I was like, okay, trying to think about this. And I'm like watching some people go up and doing the death, and I was like, what am I gonna do? I was like, in my head, I'm like, okay, I need to be dramatic as possible. Like, if I'm gonna win this, I need to be dramatic.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I'm sitting there on my phone. I'm like, how to do the Charlie Chaplin fall where he just goes vertical and slams down without dying. And so I'm sitting there looking that up. And so I get up on stage and I go and act like I'm drinking the poison. And then I stumble back and I do the fall, almost vertical. I almost get it.
Yeah.
And I land and I scrape open my hand. And I'm just laying there like,
yeah, for sure.
like laying away so that way they can't see me.
What was it? What happened?
So when I fell, I tucked up my body, and when I landed on my side, but I landed with my arms by my side, and so I just ended up scraping the wood on the ground.
Got it.
And so it just cut open my hand. I was like,
yeah, you gotta be careful on that.
Being an actor, you have to, not show emotions on that. So it's like just single tear just rolling down my face.
Right.
And so
is he smiling and a tear's going down his cheek? Wow. He's a psychopath, but we love him.
Yeah. And so that was the first of many, many bruises that I would get in that play.
The amount of falls in that, I was impressed with the amount of physical comedy in that.
it was insane. And so from there, I got casted as Robert/Charles Collymore, which my character did a lot of falling. So my character actually, the whole point of the play is it's a small production that puts on a 1920s British murder mystery, but everything goes wrong. So like the set collapses and like quite literally like platforms would fall. And then you have this big balcony that would collapse. It's 7 feet up and the whole thing would just fall out from under you.
Nice.
And so there were scenes like where the elevator would break and like you'd fall out of the elevator. Awesome. And so there was a scene where I'm supposed to go upstairs in the elevator. The door shuts and then it opens and then I fall out and then I have to get up on stage because the inspector's like, "Are you coming, Collymore?" And I'm like, "Yes, Inspector." And so I have to like jump up onto the balcony. So I get up there and then there's another scene to where the balcony collapses. And so I'm on stage when it collapses and I have to hold all of these objects while it's up there. And I kept hitting my shins so many times.
I had a feeling, bro.
Yeah. And so like I have like little scars on my shins to this day. And I have pictures on my phone. You would look at it and be like, do you need to talk to someone? Because like all of my arms are just completely bruised up, knees bruised up.
Awesome.
And I think the second to last week of rehearsals before we actually did the performance, they bought me shin guards.
Really?
They're like, "We can't do this," because it almost put me in the hospital with how bad it was. I'd be like limping off stage, like, "I can't wait to come back tomorrow, guys."
I'm so excited for this.
But it was so much fun. It was just the rush of it, and it was just I fell in love with it again, and I was like, I need to keep doing this.
Yeah.
And it was great. It was a routine that I just never thought that I would fall in love with again. So it was amazing.
The energy in that show, man, as well, was so high.
Oh yeah,
and props to all of the actors. Like
They're
I don't
amazing.
know them personally, but bro, like all of the actors, physical comedy wise, like when you walk into the room and they're setting up the set on the stage, they're already acting.
Yeah.
So you don't know, but you don't know, correct. And so you just see the director up there talking with stagehands, and they're fixing something, and they can't get it up. You see them setting it with like tape, and I'm like watching it, going, "Is this
when is this start? Is this part of it?"
Yeah, you have no clue.
Awesome.
Like you don't know, and then the play starts, and everything they put up falls, and I'm like, "Oh, this is gonna be good." Like I could just feel it.
That's a cool idea. Taking somebody through that process of the performance must go on, but everything is just going to hell in a pop.
So plays. You've got another one you're working on. You've got a film. Come on.
Yeah. What all? How many irons are in the fire right now?
So
from
right now,
standpoint.
right
all
now,
of them.
all of my irons are in the fire.
So funny enough, actually, that play that I did gave me actually a lot of opportunities with not only that but my career. So one of the actors there actually, I'm starting the job with him. So him and I are now going to be. I'm working with him, so which is absolutely amazing.
That's awesome.
In what capacity?
And just IT. So
okay, cool.
I'm super excited about that. But
Are you IT right now for Army National Guard?
No. So right now in the Army National Guard, I'm signal system support specialist. So I kind of do that. So I do some IT in that realm, but mainly my main focus is working on radios and communications.
Got it.
But right now, currently, in terms of that, there's one of the actors that I'm working with, and we've thrown each other back and forth with short films. I've been on sets as extras for a movie that was filmed out in Sacramento with him. We throw each other stuff back and forth.
Yeah.
And he actually threw me out an audition for a musical, and I've never done a musical before, and so I was actually really nervous for it. And I've always kind of sang and stuff like that, and at home, and every now and again at Joe's open mics. And so
yes,
I was like, maybe I should do it. And I had no idea what it was. And he was like, it's Titanic the Musical. You got to show up. You have to do it. And I was like,
you're playing the iceberg.
Okay. Right. No, exactly. Yeah. And actually in the audition, that was something that I did, which was hilarious. And so I showed up not knowing what it was. And that was like kind of the same thing with the last audition I did for the play. And so I show up to this audition and I was so nervous. And so we did the singing and I got the call back. And next thing you know, I'm actually casted as Frederick Barrett, which is one of the more leading characters in this musical. And I've never done this before.
Yeah.
And so I'm super excited to see where this goes. And once again, I'm now excited to fall back in love with this routine of theater and musicals. So super excited with that. But then also too, directing this film, producing Hot Shots with Joe. I'm working on this with Joe.
Bro, it's gonna be so good.
Oh, it's gonna be amazing.
Cameron doesn't know anything about it.
I don't.
I've
Enlighten me.
kept it.
Kept it. Oh, are we continuing to?
No. We can talk about premise.
Cool.
We can talk about basics, but
Yeah. What do you got?
Joe, I would love for you to explain this one.
Okay.
You do an amazing job explaining this.
Thank you.
Because like you said best at the writers' meeting, you take the words that are all rambling up here, you translate them for me.
You know what?
You're my translator.
I'm the Jared translator. So,
I like that.
So you know how with your brother I did a movie, The Humankind.
Yeah.
Find it on Amazon.
Yep.
Anyways,
Super good.
so we did that, and I don't know if you know, I burnt out pretty hardcore after that. It was just a lot
of work.
And I went, if I'm doing this again, I want to make sure I'm working with. I don't want it to just be one other person. I want to make sure there's a group of people that are passionate about it, so that you don't get burnt out.
Yeah.
But that I also saw behind the veil of Hollywood. So to get a really nice camera shot is not like it used to be 20 years ago. Okay. It's not like it used to be 10 years ago. You would think about with your phone, the image quality that you can get. Like, there are movies being nominated that have been nominated for Academy Awards that were filmed with an iPhone.
Well, shot on an iPhone.
Right? Yep. So for us to think, we can't do that is kind of ignorant. So we've been throwing out ideas, and we're working on I'm finishing up music on a short film called Frail Kaleidoscope, which I can't wait to debut. It's going to be a lot of fun. But in the process of that, he's like, man, let's do another one. So he got on this trend. We're going to do a gangster movie. And I said, buddy, the budget on a gangster movie is so high. Because it's the costumes, it's the cars, it's the location. Everything has to be clean. And he's like, we got to do it. And we're sitting there.
Like a roaring 20s gangster movie.
Man, see, you shot my mother, man. I'm going to kill you.
Right.
I don't think they said man.
Yeah. Nope.
Man, I'm going to get you, man. Like, no, I don't think so.
Hey, dude.
Might be a little.
Yes.
I'm leaving now.
Yes.
So
we were sitting there, we're talking, and I was like, dude, why are we trying to do serious movies? He goes, what do you mean? I was like, here's the thing. Every Academy Award, they always go to these serious movies.
Yeah.
I said, but nobody's trying to do comedies anymore.
Yeah.
I said, and that's the problem. Like, there's nothing to laugh at anymore. And so I said, dude, let's do a comedy. And he goes, all right, like what? And off cuff, I just went, I don't know, like two dudes in a small town trying to make a movie, and it gets funded by the local drug dealer. And he goes, oh, that's funny.
That's
I went,
awesome.
okay. And that's literally where it started. So the movie is a movie about people making movies. And it's got a lot of nuance to local actors, stage actors trying to be in movies.
Yeah.
And so you have this.
That's awesome.
Like, it's just a lot of give and take.
Where are you guys at in the project?
Script writing.
Cool.
So we got tonality figured out. We've got some actors lined up. We've got people that want to help with camera. People want to help with. We're figuring out editing and stuff. But there's that amount of. We're working on getting a good script. We got Shemaya Sutton.
Yes,
she's incredible.
Fantastic.
And her husband
Tyler Zepp.
They're amazing. They run an improv group in Upsetter.
Nice.
Fantastic group.
And so they're like, oh, I've never written a comedy or anything. I said, well, comedies are different. Write what you think, and then let's just take it to your improv group and see what comes out of it. I said, there's no need to kind of, you have your plot points that have to be hit to keep the story going, but the jokes, you don't know how
they're
it's going to be
more
received.
Organic when you're there. You can't write a specific joke and then you get to the scene and it's flat.
Like, it's like, you've seen Tommy Boy. Mm-hmm. I use that as an example. So we're going for something that's kind of that vibe, more slapsticky, but something that's got this like fun humor that's just throughout the whole thing. That's got a heart plot that you're like, you're stuck. Like Hot Rod does that the same way. Yeah. I can think of 1,000 comedies.
Whiskey.
The safe word didn't work. But anyways, that's the idea. So it's like, hey, let's freaking do a comedy.
Checking the specs on the lineup rotary girder.
Gosh, I love that movie so much.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the idea. And so Jared was like,
that's awesome.
Hey, let's go. And I said, all right, man. I said, the reason I haven't done projects like this is because I don't want to do it by myself. Yeah. I have enough imagination that I could, but if I physically put myself in that place, I'm not just robbing me, I'm robbing other people from the opportunity of working together and actually making something that's like fun. Yeah. So I'm super excited to kind of be working on that.
That's awesome.
And it's a great project, I think, for everybody involved too, especially like once this gets going to, it's a great opportunity for everybody who wants to like, hey, this is a chance to boost your careers. I know that nowadays it's all about, hey, you need to boost your IMDb ratings because that's the Instagram and Facebook of acting.
Yeah, acting, writing world.
Is look, my rating's at 200,000. It needs to be at like 50,000 in order to be seen. And so, it's a way for everybody to kind of get their name out there and try to help them in boosting their careers in the best way that they can. Yeah. But then also too, it's like it's helping everybody out and they get to have fun with this project and they get to fall in love with the process because it's not necessarily about the money that we're doing it for. We're doing it for the fun of making a movie. Yeah. Because that's all these movies that are coming out, they're doing it for the money. They're not doing it for the fun.
The budgets don't make sense anymore on movies. Yeah. They don't make sense. Like you're like, oh.
What's crazy is if you hear a movie that doesn't make like its 40 million opening weekend, then effectively it's tanking. Yeah. Because it took 80 million to make, and you're like, oh my god.
Yeah. So okay, like let's.
So wild.
I can say the Indiana Jones one. I won't do that one. Let's just take. I don't know. You can pretty much take anything.
Are you gonna try to defend Crystal Skull, bro?
No. I'm kidding. That movie never was made. Remember, it was never.
Yes.
Yeah. There's only 3.
I meant in
Jones
black.
Movies.
Myself to that.
No. There's only 3 Indiana Jones movies. Fight me.
The newest one was fun.
I didn't see it.
I didn't see it either.
I am so. I just don't trust.
Just pretend that Crystal Skull never happened. There are 4. The newest one was more of a nod to the original 3.
I can get that.
The original gal, the brunette, bro.
I will.
Dr. Jones.
I will eventually watch it. But I don't trust. Sorry, I don't trust Disney for anything at this point, man.
Sure.
So let's take the budget for that movie. We'll take the budget for the newer Indiana Jones movie, which was never made. Sorry. The budget to make that movie was about $380 million.
I don't doubt it.
Okay, so marketing for that movie was $175 million. Okay,
probably so.
Not including loans. So what people don't realize is they have an executive producer. An executive producer, they may put their cash out, but normally they use assets to kind of balance it, and then they have to pay that back with interest. So they go, hey, I'm giving you $100 million, but you're going to pay me back $150.
Yep.
That's just how it works. So if you have 10 executive producers on a movie, they're all putting skin in the game, and they're going, we need this money back. And if they don't get that money back, the studio then owes them until they can pay back. So it is a system. Yeah. Sometimes it's a loss. Sometimes they'll take the loss. But very rare do you have somebody going, I gave you $100 million, and you lost it. I want to work with you again. Yeah. Doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So when you go, so a movie at this point needs to make $600 to $700 million to break even.
It's crazy.
Okay.
Depending on the film, depending on the budget.
Well, most films are that budget now.
Yeah.
But then you have movies like Godzilla -1, which was like
was awesome.
$7 million.
You saw it, right?
I haven't seen it yet. Don't get mad at me. Don't do it. You're just gonna hurt yourself. It's on my I literally have it queued up. I almost watched it the other day. It's on my list. I totally want to see it. But then you have like Korean films that are coming out, and their budget's like $2 million, and they're destroying Netflix. They're destroying stuff. They're getting dubbed. Like these budgets that we have are more buddy budgets. They're not actual budgets of real world life.
Yeah.
And because of that, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So there's a crack in the armor. We can see the king has no clothes, and it's like, why aren't we making stuff? And it's like, well, you can't. No. iPhone movie was nominated for an Academy Award. What are you saying you can't?
Right.
It just comes to competency and passion and follow through. The reason that a lot of stuff doesn't get done is follow through.
Right.
And that, Jared, is something that I want to that I'm proud of you. And I want to just brag on you for a second. You've never been the person that says, I want to do this and hasn't done it. You say, I want to do this, and then you follow through with it, and you do it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Then you also manage to keep life floating. So here's the kicker with a lot of dreamers. They go, I want the world. And then they let go of all the stability that they have in their life. And so they're like, oh, I don't need that job because this is going to be my big break. Well, what if it's not, though?
No, you can't do that.
But I've had too many friends tank like that and then go, I'm leaving the area because I'm pursuing my dreams, get into hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt, and then come back going, well, my dreams didn't pursue. It's like, you can pursue your dreams
What'd
anywhere.
you do wrong, God?
Yeah, no, oh, God, I hate that crap.
I know.
I hate
the only reason I reference it is it's disgusting how often you hear it. Or somebody, they're so short-sighted and they're like, all right, I feel that this is what I'm supposed to do. Do. You're like, oh my God, what have I done?
Well,
like, why did you let go of the stability to pursue that?
Genuinely, I believe. Genuinely, I believe though is like if you're going towards your dreams, you need to have something stable to work off of.
Yeah.
Use your 9 to 5 to build your 5 to 9.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing. Is like if you're going to be able to follow your dream, like you need to be happy doing it. Mm-hmm. So how are you going to, these people that, I see a lot of times I've had some friends that try to up and go to Hollywood and, try to do that with acting. Right. And they're stressed out.
What's new with Jake? A lot of heroin.
Yeah. Right. And so I see that.
He's taking some roles. Which roles?
Yeah.
You don't want to know.
He's doing a lot of roles.
Yeah. No, it's not very good. It's he's playing homeless. But
he's playing homeless.
Yeah.
But
he's gonna get an Academy Award.
But they said cut 3 years ago. Awful.
But no, I see that, and it's like what I started realizing is like when you're having fun with it, and if it starts becoming stressful, then you probably need to take a step back from it.
Yeah.
Just for a second. Like I'm having fun with all of these things and
especially
like trying.
If it's a passion project.
Yeah.
If it's a passion project, not a profit project, and you're not supporting yourself or your livelihood or your family off of it. I mean, how much are you going to bring and pull people through that? If you are solo, we're like right now, you're not married, correct? No kids, not married.
Yeah.
Bro, the world is yours. You have the ability right now to go out and fail as many times as you need to figure it out. Like that's what being young is about. Like that is such a great place to be.
Right.
But you can never hang your head like, oh man, that didn't work out. That's okay. You're one step closer to what will work out.
Exactly.
So just keep banging your head against it.
Well, and
it's gonna break.
And even, bro, I mean, one of the best things you can do is go out there and fail. Yeah, but at the 100%. Same time, you don't want to eventually get in a relationship, get married, and then go, I wish I would have.
Yeah, no.
There's not enough time in life for all these regrets. And it's funny because you talk to like 16-year-old kids and they're like, man, if I would have started TikTok at 13, I would have. And you're like, what? How do you have regrets? You're 16.
Yeah.
I think
you haven't had any time to make a regrettable decision.
Well, because everybody's in this mindset of like, you have to have it now. You have to have it now. Like everything. I need to be famous now. I need to be a famous actor now. It's like, have fun with the process, because the more fun you have with doing things, like how many people I've seen like reoccurring on sets that I've been on, it's insane. And like I see it over and over. Like the guy. Shout out to the dude, Kanai Kalama. Him and I have been working on a whole bunch of different things together. And so like when we go on sets, we see the same faces now. Yeah. And it's
same
great.
Passionate people.
Yeah, exactly. But then awesome. that makes you think, it's like, how many more times is it going to take? Like how many more times before these faces are now coworkers or now friends?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so it's like, just have fun with it. It's a consistency that you have to have. You can't just go, and then just not expect to get burnt out.
Yeah.
If you just have fun with it, take your time, everything falls in place for a reason. I see a lot of people that are just like, man, this isn't working out. Like I've been just going at it for months at a time, and then it just stops. Everything just stops. And it's like, well, yeah, because you were just hustling for way too long, and then you just die out from it.
And so much of that, I couldn't agree more. So much of that I think is going to be in the approach, right? If you're doing it, if you're getting into acting just to go make money, oh my gosh.
Don't go after for the money. Never.
Yeah. Don't do it
because you love it.
If you go after anything solely for just the money, I feel like the ceiling will hit you pretty quickly. If you start anything and you just let your heart lead and you go in because you're grossly passionate about something, and then what comes of that is just going to be, it's going to be great. I'm thinking of this podcast, right? Yeah. Joe and I weren't like, we need a second, third, or fourth job. Let's start a podcast.
Right. Speak for yourself.
Right? Yeah. God, you're so dumb. But I mean, when we started this thing, which I think is September last year.
Yeah, man.
September 23.
We're almost hitting a year anniversary.
We're almost our year anniversary.
No, well, look at that.
We were just two passionate people that love spending time together, and we wanted to introduce and have the ability to introduce other people in the community and outside of the community that are passionate about what they do, and just kind of be a spotlight and a showcase for people, which is something that he and I organically are passionate about.
Absolutely.
Yep. And then I haven't even told you this. A insurance agency, local insurance agency last week reached out to me to potentially sponsor the show.
Oh, dude, I'm down.
Yeah. So we need to we'll have a meeting with them. But that came organically.
Yeah.
They were fans of the show and followed the show, and they're like, hey, you guys don't have a sponsor yet. And they're like, no. Oh, are we having this conversation? But
cool, man.
Did we start out by like, oh my God, we're doing a podcast, we need sponsors?
Right. No.
Not at all. Right. It's just been Joe and I organically just loving on people and allowing those conversations to lead where they are.
Yeah, 100%.
I think back to Brian Davis when we met with Brian. I love
he was my boss.
Brian Davis.
Back in the day.
Love me some Brian Davis.
And I can tell you the character of that man, it shines through. You know how you meet people and you go, man, I just like that person.
Yeah.
Gravitas.
You know, man.
There's gravity to him.
Sorry, continue.
No, you're good. On this show, we were kind of just dreaming out loud, and he runs a nonprofit called Be Extra, and he gives shoes to individuals experiencing homelessness, and he's not just that. He does a ton of stuff, aerial photography and videography. He does a little bit of everything.
Crushes it.
And we were talking about, in my team and I, Spark, a small volunteer group that I run and coordinate. We do every month. We go to the local food bank and we put together boxes that then get distributed between Sutter, Yuba, and Colusa County. And we were just kind of dreaming out loud. And I was like, Brian, you know what I see? I see at one of our donation drives, you having a truck that's literally all decaled out that says Be Extra on the side, where at the end of their food bank drive, after they get their food, they roll up to you and you ask them, hey, can you use shoes? Yes. Okay. Ma'am, what size? 10.5. Boom. Here. Sir, what size? 12. Okay. Boom. Here. And he's like, man, let's make it happen. Literally like 60, 70, 80 days after we shot that, he had an opportunity to acquire a truck, and now it's in the process of being wrapped.
Oh, that's amazing.
So I'm like, wow. On this show, we kind of spoke that into existence, and now it happens. It just goes to show, when you're passionate about something, don't think too long and hard about it. Just go for it.
Yeah.
And if you're at a capacity right now, before you have a family that you're pulling into anything with you, which you have to be more guarded and more calculated, 100%. Right? Joe would agree.
Oh, yeah.
Go for anything that God puts in front of you, man. And just don't hold back.
Well, and it gets and when you get to the point where you do have somebody that you're providing for, it actually it's
going to crank you up.
It actually cranks up the performance tenfold,
right?
Because now I'm doing this for X, Y, and Z. Yeah. I want to make sure they're taken care of. I want to make sure that they've got this. And then there's this weird thing that happens where you want whoever. Any child that you see, or anybody, this is at least how I am. Any child that I see, I go, the world is your oyster. You have the potential for anything.
Right.
But I think that is something that has been disappearing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
As an actor. I mean, what is it? I think it's not Brad Pitt. It's Matt Damon. He's friends with like 3 other dudes that all broke into the industry at the same time.
I think I know the story you're talking about. You're talking about Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. They were together. I know the story of this. So they were together and they were living in an apartment.
How about them?
And they shared a bank account, and they would take the money that they made from sets and they would put it into, and I could be getting this wrong, but they put the money that they had into a bank account, literally that was shared, just so that way they can keep the lights on.
Yes.
And they knew that as long as there was money going in there,
100%.
they would be able to keep the lights on. And so then it grew into that. But no, when you say that, is, sharing that kindness and sharing that to like everybody and like, telling people that, you can do this.
Yeah.
That speaks strongly, is because that is what you did for me. And that is, when I told you, I was like, I want to be an actor somehow. I'm going to figure out how to do it. You encouraged that. And so here I am today, now directing a movie. I'm doing these plays and it's kept that inspiration going. And so kudos to you on that. So thank you. But, it's been a process going, but I genuinely think, if you tell someone no too many times, they're going to stop.
Yeah.
But if you give someone that opportunity to go perform, practice, and you give them constructive criticism, then that's different than saying no, right? But if they go after follow their dreams, they have a passion for it, the world is their oyster.
Absolutely.
Genuinely.
Yeah. Well, and I think that we say no because of the unknown.
Exactly.
Right? We say no. Oh, no. Okay. Christopher Columbus, if they were like, yeah, no, we don't want you going across.
Yeah.
We don't know what's over there, but we don't want you going.
Yeah.
Okay.
The studying with Galileo. Hey, no, we don't want you doing that.
Yeah.
Like a lot of things, we would have eventually found it, but it would have only been discovered when people went, yeah, well, let's give it a shot.
Yeah.
It had to take a risk on two parts.
Yeah.
But when I say, yeah, let's go for it, what does that do? All I'm doing is encouraging you. What do I get out of it? Hopefully you get to make it, and I get to build a relationship with that.
Yeah.
If I tell you no, the only reason I ever tell people no is if their expectations are skewed and they're wanting too much for return. Yeah. So like, hey, we want to do this. Yeah, you need to do all of this. And it's like, no.
Yeah, no.
That's not. Now you're asking me to take the load. No. Nope, I'm not going to do that. But
show me that you're willing to do a little bit of the work up front, and then
100%.
that'll gauge how invested you are.
Absolutely. Right. So it's like, no, I'm not going to do that. I've had a lot of people go, I got a great idea for a movie. And I'm like, awesome, write the script.
Right.
Well, I don't know how. And I was like, okay, well, then learn. Well, I don't know if I can. You can. You can do anything you put your mind to. And if you say you can't, then you've determined that, not me.
Exactly.
And I've had people go, here's my script. And I read it and go, ooh, I really like this, but this doesn't make sense. This, show, not tell. Let's go through this structure. I'm not a fan of this. And I'll, rewrite. And they're like, oh. And then I've had, out of 99% of people I've interacted with, and I've said, yeah, let's do it. And I show them stuff. You're one of the 1% that goes, let's follow through.
Yeah.
And that's not because I believe that people are frail or that they can't, but they think they can't.
Yeah.
I was literally talking to someone today about identifying terms. Like, we in society look for these terms that identify who we are to give us a scapegoat out of something.
Yeah.
So, like, not to crap on anybody, this is a broadly used term, ADHD. Okay, cool. Oh, I have a hard time focusing on X, Y, and Z. Okay, cool. What does that have to do with the scenario? Mm-hmm. Just because you learn differently, just because your attention span is differently, doesn't mean that you are at a negative. Yeah. Stop thinking you're at a negative. So when people use those terms and they go, yeah, but I'm just, as soon as
they crutch themselves instantly.
Yeah, I instantly go, oh, okay, this isn't a conversation that's going anywhere. Because now they're expecting you to coddle. And it's like, no, I'm not going to coddle you. I'm going to go, here are the expectations. If you want to work business-wise, here's the business expectations.
If you're going to learn differently, we still need you to learn. But you're going to learn a little differently.
But I think all of it's like, think about, there's so many things our whole society is craving for, dictating terms.
Yep.
Yep.
I need to know who you are by this word. It's like, no.
Yeah.
It's like the term,
yes.
Well, I'll throw it on a big extremes. All Christians are religious. Some. All Satanists are bad. Some. All Muslims are terrorists. I don't know. Like, by throwing out the extremes, you instantly create prejudice, because now you're using these extremes instead of going, this is my faith, this is part of who I am, but it is not who I am.
Exactly.
Correct.
But then also, too, is back onto the ADHD thing, because you made a very valid point with that. As someone myself, as very diagnosed with ADHD, it is a tool to your advantage. And a lot of people see that
it is.
Exactly. And a lot of people see that as, well, I can't focus. Well, you don't focus on the things that you don't like. Mm-hmm. And so what does ADHD really do? You hyper-focus on the things that you love.
Yeah.
And so for me, I hyper-focus on the things that I fall in love with. And so I fell in love with IT. So guess what? I chose that career field.
I love it.
So I hyper focus on that. And guess what? I love acting. I love filmmaking. Hyper focused on that. So I'm using that to my advantage. And I fell in love with that even more.
That's awesome.
And so now you just figure out the ways to use that to your advantage, because it's not something that should hold you back, but it's something that should boost you above most other people.
Yeah.
This is not this. It's a superpower in a way.
That's
so
awesome.
Everything that you have
a distraction superpower.
Yeah, exactly.
You can lock in at a whole different level than somebody else.
Yeah, you get distracted
on something
from,
that you're passionate about.
Yeah, you get distracted from the things that don't matter.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But you're also leveraging yourself.
Awesome. Exactly.
You're leveraging yourself. You know, this is my limitations. A lot of people don't realize their limitations. And so what is failing? Learning your limitations, right? So if you go out there and you're like, I'm gonna do this, and they go, never mind, I need to shoot a little lower, right? Yeah. Give yourself realistic expectations. Have real conversations with yourself.
Yeah.
You know, you're going, I'm pursuing acting, and I love it. You're like, I'm pursuing acting, and I'm not gonna let them stop me. This is what I'm gonna do. In that process, you also have the conversation, I need to eat, I need to be clothed, I need to make sure the power is on in my spot, and I'm going to pursue that, but also pursue this. The truth wasn't in one absolute.
Right.
It was in a lot of little decisions along the way.
I think also another thing, too, is failure is a broader term that a lot of people have a very horrible take on, in a sense.
Yeah.
Because the way I see it is, I think hopefully I'm not getting this wrong, but I think Edison said it. He's like, I didn't fail at making a light bulb. I learned 1,000 ways to not make a light bulb.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So failure in my way is I don't take it as I learned a lesson from this. What did I learn from this? This isn't I failed. Okay, I learned not to do something this way, right? Yeah. So if I didn't do an audition well, okay, well, what did I learn from that? Okay, well, I didn't do the accent properly. Okay, well, this accent wasn't as good as it should have been. Okay, so the next time I go in, it's going to be better. Yeah. Right? So it's not failing. It's just, okay, I know what to do better next time. So now, learn. Exactly. So you are bettering yourself every single time. So
I can't remember what NBA coach was talking about, wins and losses, but he's not. He was saying it's not wins and losses. It's wins and learning opportunities. Yeah. You're always going to learn more from a loss than you will a win. Oh, yeah. Because a win is just going to make you think, okay, everything that I already do is accurate. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And that will only get you so far. Oh, sure. Nothing is, you're not being refined by anything. Nothing is pulling you forward. You're not getting any sharper. Right? Yeah. The tree that's most often pruned is going to bear the greatest fruit. Yeah. If the tree didn't want to get pruned and he's just got vines all over the place and branches all over the place, more of his energy is going to go to the branches all over the place and less to the fruit. Right? But if the tree is saying, ow, I don't want to get pruned, he's only going to bear so much fruit, right? So if we are trees, we have to look for the refining.
I literally was talking to a guy who owns a grape vineyard, and he was selling some grapes. And I was like, cool. At my grandma's house growing up, she actually had grapes over a pergola, and they would hang down. So during summertime,
is a pergola like a pergola? Sorry. I love you.
Daggone making fun of the way I talk. It's my pergola.
Pergola.
Pergola. I've always called it a pergola.
I love you.
Anyways.
You know what Hannah makes fun of? Sorry, side note. What is the thing that you...
Brought to you by ADHD.
Squirrel. What's the thing that you ride up when you're snow skiing or snowboarding up to the top of the mountain?
The gondola.
How do you pronounce that?
Gondola.
Gondola?
Gondola.
Is that not how it's...
But you call it a pergola.
Yeah.
Why isn't it a gondola?
You know what? It's not making sense.
The English language is a very complicated...
And Joe's brain is an extremely complicated thing. All right, sorry. And action.
So I used to go out there and... See, I could stop right where I was at. So I used to go out there and I could grab grapes right out.
Pergola.
And sit underneath the pergola.
Pergola. Pergola.
Pergola. And I would sit there and I'd eat some grapes. And I was like, man, so that was always a fond memory I had. And I sat there with grandma and sunset. We would sit there and talk. It was always amazing. So I went, oh, well, I want this. So the farmer's markets, the guy was selling someone. I said, awesome. And he goes, I said, so what's the secret to get it to grab and grow and stuff? He goes, you got to trim it. So how much we trimming it? He goes, 90%.
Ooh.
I was like, ooh, 90%? He goes, 80 to 90%. He's like, if you trim it 80 to 90% and you leave its main, you will grow fruit every year. But if you don't, you'll have a year of dormant and 1 year will be dormant and the next year will be fruitful. He goes, and you'll get that back. He's a lot of immature people don't, or immature farming, they don't understand that you need to trim 80 to 90%. I went 80 to 90%.
That's a lot.
Which, if you think about it, it's like, if you even look at that in like our society, 10% dictates the terms for the other 90%. Yeah. So that means that they're willing to be pruned 90% of the time.
Yeah.
Right? I think that like you can start seeing parallels in numbers. I always think it's super cool. You're like, oh, okay. The only thing that like, it's like the infinite game versus the finite game. Have you heard the Simon Sinek, an incredible, I'm probably saying it wrong because apparently I can't speak English.
Yeah, there's that.
But he's an incredible business mind. He actually has a whole conversation on this. And the finite game is we're agreeing on terms of a game. So baseball, we agree that it's going to have 9 innings unless there's a tie, and we will go until it's broken. Yeah. We agree on locations, how many people on your team. We agree on all those things. So when a business goes, we are number 1 in marketing. How? We didn't agree to the terms.
Right.
No, who said this is the terms for winning? That one agency may have, but that doesn't mean that's how it works in the world. So when you see that, that doesn't deter you. The whole point of an infinite game is you accrue resources and you pursue forward. And then if you run out of resources, you lose the game.
Monopoly.
So unless you're willing to go, hey, I can overcome this obstacle and I can overcome these things and I'm going to continue doing it. If you're an actor, your biggest resource is you. Yeah. So as soon as you give up on you, the acting game's over.
Exactly.
Right? And so that game continues to go until you go, I will succeed or I will end. But you determine that. Yeah. And so, like or you find other people along and go, here's my resources, here's mine. Let's put them together on this infinite game of life and we'll continue to pursue forward. He uses it in business, but it's such a life lesson.
Exactly.
And so that's why I'm so community minded, because I'm like, bro, like if we all were to put our pieces together, we could combat so much more. Yeah. Like, Angel Studios is crushing it in that regard. The movie Caprini that came out, beautiful movie. The budget was $1 million. You watch that movie, you're gonna be like, nah, that's at least $100 million budget. No, it's impossible to tell. And you're like,
yeah, it's awesome.
It just comes to the passion of the individual and what people are willing to do to make those things happen.
Isn't Angel Studios, their whole thing is 1,000 investors and invest $1,000 or something like that?
Yeah. And so
allow people to get in the production game.
Yeah. And then you're negating risk. And then now the script has to be good to get those investors. So now you're really hitting the market. I think it's a genius way to approach it. And I think that Hollywood, the good old boys club, doesn't want to accept there's a crack in the armor. Because we can keep spending $700 million of our investors' money. Well, if you keep doing that, and you're only making $100 million,
means no end.
You're going to lose an investor.
Yeah.
And if it's actors, you're going to start losing actors. It's just an inevitability. And so I'm watching it going, Netflix is putting out stuff for half the budget, getting 10 times more of the money.
Right.
I'm looking at the market going, it's an eventuality. Yeah. This is all going to shift and change.
And Netflix is putting out a lot of good indie movies too.
Bro,
they're putting out a lot of
crushing.
Goodums.
Putting
out a lot of goodums. But,
you can watch the goodums under the pergola.
Under the pergola. in beginning to land the plane, in wrapping up, to the younger audience that is wanting to pursue something like a passion in acting or writing or production, what do you think your charge is to them?
Honestly, I would say my charges to that is just go out there and have fun. Get your hands on everything. Nowadays, if you want to be an actor, you can't just be an actor. You have to get into every aspect of it. You have to get into getting behind the camera. You have to getting into script making. You have to get into, doing the makeup. You have to, it's literally every aspect of it, because if you start to learn every aspect of it, then you'll get to figure out what you want to do in the industry.
Yeah. Sure.
And then on top of that too, is you'll get to develop your skill sets even more. Find an actor that you like the most and just run with it. And then also on top of that as well is just go out there and have fun.
Yeah.
If you want to do this, don't make it stressful.
Yeah.
People go and, they're like, for instance, people go to school, they study to become doctors and they have fun with it. Sure, school is stressful. Everything in life is going to be stressful at some point.
Correct.
But if you go out there and you have fun with it, if this is a passion for you and you enjoy it, everything will follow through. So go out there, have fun. Don't let people tell you that you can't do it. And, there's a lot of opportunities out there. Facebook has given me a lot of opportunities.
Sure.
Surprisingly enough. Reach out to your local communities. That's the biggest thing. There's a lot of people even in small towns, like out here, there's a lot of opportunities.
Oh, yeah.
And then you go out to like Sacramento, amazing opportunities out there.
Absolutely.
But, make connections with people, have fun, and just enjoy the process. Because at the end of the day, you dictate your own life. So you make your own rules. Don't care what other people think about the way that you're going with your life. Care about what you're doing. So if you want to be an actor, study the books. If you think that studying the books is too hard, then watch movies that inspire you.
Sure.
So just go out there and have fun. Find out who you are. Find what style of acting you like. If you're a filmmaker, find what styles of film you like, and just have fun. It's all about fun.
I love that. Your quote just now is, "You dictate your life. You dictate your rules." I love that.
100%.
That's amazing,
like
man.
guy.
Hey, I did too. I'm happy you got to meet him.
Bro, thank you for being here this morning.
Of course. Thank you guys so much for having me.
I appreciate you.
Thank you for checking out the Cam and Joe Show.
If you guys are liking our content so far, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram. You can also listen to us on Spotify.